Good afternoon, everyone. We have new information on an early morning fire in South Fargo. 2 people have died following a house fire in the 1400 block of 2nd Avenue South. It happened just after 5 this morning. Smoke and flames could be seen rising from the house. Firefighters tell us it was difficult to get inside the home to fight the blaze. 2 firefighters fell into a hole in the floor of the house, but they were able to get themselves out. The home partially collapsed, which also slowed down the search inside. A cause of the fire, a damage estimate, and the names of the victims are not yet available. And some breaking news. Crews responded to a fire around 3:30 a.m. Sunday in Valley City, but they weren't able to enter that home. It took 14 hours to extinguish the fire. 1 person was found dead in the lower level. Today, police identified the victim as 65-year-old Anthony Joe Mitchell. Crews are still investigating just how that fire started. As you can see here, the home had frozen over from the water after firefighters put out the blaze. Well, it's another first alert weather day, and the blowing snow could make for a tough commute later on. Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson is here to tell us what conditions will be like. Hutch?
Stacey, thanks so much and good afternoon. Here's what you need to know as we head into our evening. We're going to see that wind, which is for many of us right now in a little bit of a lull, really increase once again, with some gusts over 45 miles per hour likely. The home of economy location here in Devil's Lake showing a infrequent flake of snow flying by with the wind starting to pick up there. The big story has been the warm up. We talked about it last night. Many of us seeing between 40 and 45 degrees warmer than yesterday at this time. And our temperatures here in Fargo still going up. So we take a look at those winds. Here's the lull I'm talking about. We've had south winds that were gusty this morning, but out to the west we have gusts over 50 miles per hour at times being measured out in the Minot area. That's heading our way. Visibility is down to around a mile to a mile and a half at times near the international border. Radar shows that's where we have a batch of light snow working its way through. And as forecast, that's going to push through tonight, bringing change along with those northwesterly winds. Temperatures 30s, Grand Forks 30s for Jamestown, mid and upper 20s here in the valley and points east. We have a winter weather advisory for blizzard-like conditions potentially in places tonight, particularly in open country as we go through the overnight hours. Our temperatures are going to hover near 30 for most of the evening. Then overnight, northwest winds between 15 and 30 miles per hour and gusts over 40 miles per hour will cause those blinding travel conditions. Those will last into the morning, and Stacey will have hour-by-hour details on the timing and track of everything here in a moment.
All right. Thanks so much, Hutch. A Fargo South High School coach has been fired for inappropriate communications with students on social media. A spokesperson for the district confirmed that Fabrice Nolan, who coached football and basketball, was fired Monday. Valley News Live received a whistleblower tip saying Nolan sent inappropriate messages to a girl at the school. The district says it did conduct a background check when Nolan was hired. Our investigative team has filed an open records request for his personnel file. Stick with Valley News Live as we work to learn more. We're learning new information on an overnight shop fire near Rothsay, Minnesota. The Otter Tail County Sheriff's Department says the shop is a total loss. These are pictures from the scene along County Highway 11 late last night. The Sheriff's Department says when crews arrived, flames were shooting from the building. The shop is destroyed. No one was hurt. The cause is still under investigation. Fargo City Commissioner Tony Gehrig announced today he's foregoing his candidacy for the upcoming election. Gehrig has spent 7 years as a city commissioner, and he cited reasons like spending more time with his family and focusing on the remaining 4 years of his military career. Though Gehrig said he looks forward to staying involved and exploring a return to public service again in the future. When asked directly if he would consider running again for city commission or mayor in the future, Gehrig said this.
Yes.
He also praised local residents that are active in the community, as well as employees at every level of city government. And his list of accomplishments over the past 7 years include reducing property tax mills, advocating for limited government, and serving as liaison for Fargo Fire. But Gehrig also said his work isn't done.
Well, I'll miss being up there and making those votes every 2 weeks, and I'll miss working directly with the departments and those employees who do a great job. There are a lot of things that I'm going to be able to do as a regular citizen that I actually can't do as a city commissioner.
A major shakeup in the Supreme Court today. Justice Stephen Breyer announced his retirement. He served as an associate justice of the Supreme Court since 1994. He was nominated by President Bill Clinton. He's one of 3 liberal-leaning members on the 9-person court. He says he intends to retire at the end of this term, allowing President Biden to nominate his successor. House Democrats are ramping up their efforts to fight climate change. Lawmakers are launching 3 new climate-focused task forces. One will look at how the warming world affects foreign policy. Another is focusing on agriculture and how farmers can practice sustainable methods. It'll also examine ways to protect against extreme weather that devastates crops. The last task force focuses on reforming and modernizing the U.S. power sector. Even with these efforts, Democrats' climate agenda is dependent on President Biden's Build Back Better bill. It contains $555 billion for climate and clean energy programs, but right now it's stalled in the Senate. Pregnant women are at an increased risk for severe COVID-19, which is why they recommend receiving a COVID vaccine. Some couples planning to get pregnant or already pregnant have had concerns. Danya Backus has more on the latest research providing reassurance that protecting themselves and their babies does not affect fertility.
Sarah Ekus was a mom to a 1-year-old when she got the COVID-19 vaccine last year. She was also newly pregnant with a baby conceived through IVF, but unfortunately had a late miscarriage. The 41-year-old was due for her booster when they decided to try again, so she got her shot before her egg transfer.
I wanted to make sure I was doing everything I could to keep the baby safe. And then again, if I could send, have those antibodies passed to the baby, that would be helpful as well.
Some people have concerns about getting vaccinated and conceiving now or later. New research is adding to the evidence the vaccine does not affect fertility.
There's a lot of anxiety that has occurred around vaccination, around COVID in general. So we need to manage the anxiety by giving people back control, and we do that with good old-fashioned information.
In one of the largest studies to date, Dr. Alan Cooperman and researchers at Icahn Mount Sinai looked at patients going through IVF, vaccinated and unvaccinated.
We compared outcomes, how many eggs, how many embryos, whether or not they got pregnant. And fortunately, we found no difference whether or not a patient was vaccinated or not, and whether or not she got pregnant.
Another study finds vaccination in either partner does not reduce fertility, but COVID-19 infection in men, especially severe disease, may temporarily reduce fertility.
The vaccine can prevent almost all cases of severe COVID, and we can prevent male infertility, and we could promote health and wellness for female fertility, all by giving the vaccine to reproductive age people.
Sarah runs an infertility support group.
I think having this research is going to be really important to reassure women going through treatments.
She's 14 weeks pregnant and due in July. Danya Backus, CBS News.
Previous studies have also found that the COVID vaccine did not raise the risk of preterm birth or fetal growth problems. The CDC and the North Dakota Health Department officials say over the last 5 years, the state's birth rates are down and death rates are up. Health officials say the drop is not unexpected, but they do need to figure out why more younger adults under age 50 are dying, adding they believe it could be an issue of people not getting needed care soon enough, as many people delayed care during the pandemic. Pfizer is now studying a version of its COVID vaccine tweaked to target the Omicron variant. The drug maker made the announcement yesterday. Right now, health officials recommend a booster dose for added protection against the variant. The U.S. has averaged about 2,200 COVID-19 deaths a day in the past week. That's the highest it's been since last February. However, CDC officials say the Omicron variant tends to be less severe than previous strains. Sources are saying the Minnesota Vikings have hired a new general manager. Several outlets are reporting the Vikings are finalizing terms with Cleveland VP of Player Personnel, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. NFL insiders say he's become the team's leading candidate after another contender, a Kansas City executive director of Player Personnel, was snapped up by division rival Chicago. There are also reports on social media that the team is in discussions to add Catherine Raich, an executive with the Philadelphia Eagles, as assistant GM. Two Duluth area youth hockey teams thought it was going to be just another night at a local arena. Then they got the surprise of their young lives. The Minnesota Wild surprised the kids, bringing their youth hockey spotlight game to Duluth last night.
Kids in general are all big Wild fans. I think we all really appreciate the efforts of the Wild, and we all cheer for them, and it's really special. These kids won't forget it probably forever.
From the minute they walked into the arena, the Duluth East and North Shore Pee Wee teams were treated to the full professional experience, custom jerseys and other swag, an appearance by the Wild mascot, and special celebrity guest coaches. Wild officials say they do 3 to 5 of these youth hockey spotlight games every season. They say they pick communities that embody the spirit of hockey.